Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Sir.
And it's Mr. Tejas, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I want to start first with see if we can agree on a couple of things, okay? I was listening to your testimony. I'm going to publish States 311. I was listening to your testimony, and if I heard you correctly, many times during your direct you stated that this is the killer of Mr. German, correct?
I didn't necessarily, but I'm sure it is.
I mean, if I heard you correctly, you kept saying, looking at the killer, this guy. I know you're not saying that's me, but you don't doubt that whoever that is killed Mr. German. That would be fair, right?
Yes.
Okay. You had mentioned one of the things that struck you was you watched the autopsy, or you saw the autopsy photos, and you were struck by the violence of it, correct?
No, sir.
No, you did not? Were you bothered by the photographs?
I was.
Why is that?
Gruesome. I'm not used to seeing dead people.
Okay. I think you said it was ugly. Is that correct?
I may have.
All right. And you had told this jury that you felt like it looked like someone who knew what they were doing. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
You believe this was a professional hit?
And that's what I believe.
Okay. And you believe this killer is kind of almost like someone hired to do this job, like an assassin, essentially, right?
That is what I believe, yes, sir.
All right. Now, I want to take a look at this picture for a second. The assassin seems to be wearing a giant sun hat. It's a pretty big hat, right?
Yes, sir.
It's fairly noticeable, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
You think that might attract attention?
I would think so.
Okay, but this is a professional.
Right.
All right. And this professional is also wearing a bright orange shirt, correct?
Yes, sir.
Professional?
Yes, sir.
But wouldn't that attract attention?
I think that's part of the reason, actually. If I could elaborate.
No. You believe that professional assassins want to draw attention to themselves when they're carrying out murder. That's your testimony?
When they're framing someone, yes, sir.
So the answer to my question is yes. You believe professional assassins like to draw attention to themselves.
It depends on what the nature of their goal is, and if it's to frame someone, yes, sir. So
the answer to my question is yes?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Your professional assassin is wearing a big saddlebag, right?
It's a big bag.
Right. He's wearing Nikes, correct?
Correct.
Not generic shoes, Nikes, isn't that right?
Right.
Okay. Gray Nikes, is that right?
Correct.
All right. Let's cue over to the overhead, if we could, or to the computer, if we could. All right. I'm playing the PIO video from Exhibit 338. So this is your assassin walking in the middle of the day, correct?
My assassin?
This is the assassin, the killer, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Seems to have a little bit of a hitch in his getup.
Yes. I don't know. I guess it's an opinion.
And you don't disagree that's from, you've seen all the footage, that's the killer's car, right?
Yes, sir.
It's a maroon Denali, am I right?
Yes, sir.
You own a maroon Denali, isn't that correct?
I do, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me at least let's look at it for a second. So there's no doubt that the killer took a maroon Yukon Denali to German's house to perform, as you have explained to us, to be some sort of professional hit.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay. So I'd like to publish the PowerPoint, if we could. It's still from Exhibit 338, Your Honor. but it is the PowerPoint video. And I want to turn our attention to slide number 72. This is after Mr. German has been killed, but if we watch this footage, isn't it true that we see the killer come back to the scene?
Yes.
And the killer seems to be looking around as if he forgot something, right?
I've watched the video. I don't know what he's doing.
We don't know.
Right.
But we know a professional killer killed someone in broad daylight, made it a point to park on a completely different street, but then for some reason decided, oops, I forgot something, and drove all the way back.
My belief is that he wanted to make sure to commit the crime, and then when he was done, he wanted to make sure the SUV was seen in front of the house.
So let me get this straight. We've watched the footage, right, Mr. Tellis?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it true that the Yukon parks on Wintergreen initially?
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the streets, but I mean, if you say so, yes.
We'll put it to you this way. He didn't park on Bronze Circle, did he?
Not initially, no.
And by your logic, if the killer wanted to be seen, shouldn't he have just parked on Bronze Circle originally?
I would have thought that, if he wanted to make sure he got the job done first, that he would not have actually parked the SUV in front to begin with.
Oh, so
that's my belief, because, again, that isn't me.
So you have a killer who goes all the way out of his way to park on a completely different street, walks the whole length, does the killing, drives out of the complex, and then makes a U-turn, comes all the way back into the complex, pulls up, gets out, looks around for something, and you believe that's all part of the assassin's plan?
And again, I don't know what he's doing in that video.
No, I'm just using your words, your thought process.
Absolutely.
You believe that was all part of the plan?
I do. It wasn't me, so.
Sir, doesn't that look a little amateurish?
I would like to think that I wouldn't use my own car if I was actually the person who did this.
Well, doesn't it look a little amateurish to take the steps to park on the side of the street, then you forget what you dropped, probably your murder weapon, who knows, wear this goofy sun hat, a bright orange shirt. I mean, you really think that looks like a professional killer?
I do. Again,
Okay.
It wasn't me, so
Okay.
yes.
All right, sir. And when you looked at the car, you thought, gosh, that looks just like my vehicle, right?
Except for the rims, yes, sir.
Sure, we'll get to the rims in a second. In fact, let's talk about that right now.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to slide 41. One second. Slide 40. All right. So, you see that picture right here of the rims?
Yes, sir.
All right. Sir, do you see, if we're talking like clock positions, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, you know what I'm talking about? If I'm referring to that?
12 o'clock is north.
Yes. So
Right.
12 o'clock is
Or
totally to the top, and then you've got 6 o'clock is to the bottom. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So look at this bottom right-hand picture. Isn't it true that when you look at the front wheel, the spokes on this wheel are not all the same size, correct?
Right.
They alternate in thickness, correct?
Correct.
At the 12 o'clock position, it's a narrow spoke, right?
Yes, sir.
And then the next two on either side of it widen out. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
And in the 6 o'clock position, that's a fat, wide spoke. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
And it's surrounded by two narrow spokes. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And it totals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 different spokes. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
And just to be clear, whenever you look at one spoke, let's say at the 12 o'clock position, when you look at the opposite position, it's the thicker one, right?
Yes, sir.
And so if you look at a smaller one, if you look the opposite direction, it's going to be thicker, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that, when we look at the picture of this widened spoke on the killer's car, you see that on this wheel on the front, and you see it on the back wheel. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
Publishing 322. We could cue over. That's your car, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
There's no doubt about it, is it?
No, I don't believe so.
That is the car that you don't normally drive, isn't that right? Because you drive a BMW.
Right. I drive it occasionally to make sure that the battery doesn't die.
Right. Let's look at your wheels, because your testimony was, my rims are different. Let's look, no, sir, I'm question pending. Let's look at the front tire. You see the front tire?
Yes, sir.
The one closest to the 12 o'clock position is thick, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
The one directly opposite that, closest to the 6 o'clock position, is narrow, isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
Just like the car in the video, isn't that correct?
It has the same type of rims, yes.
It does, but that's not what you just told that jury on direct examination. You said you looked at a tweet from General Bob Custer, and you felt, oh gosh, my rims are different. Remember you told them that?
Yes,
You
because
relied on some person in the Twitterverse named General Bob Custer to give you peace of mind about whether or not your car matches the killer's car.
yes,
So, now looking at your rims, because let's look at them. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spokes on that wheel, correct?
yes, sir.
Just like the killer's car.
Similar
Right.
to the killer's car, yes,
Not
sir.
similar, exactly like it, correct?
But they're not the same rims.
Sir, then let's take it this way. The 12 o'clock position is a fat, wide spoke, correct?
Yes, sir.
The 6 o'clock position is arrow, correct?
Yes,
When we looked at the photograph of the killer's car, it had that same pattern, isn't that right?
yes, sir.
And when we look at the other rims, let's say we're looking at a rim here in about the 1 o'clock position, it's narrow, correct?
Yes, sir.
And when we look at the opposite, it thickens, correct?
Yes, sir.
Just like the killer's car in the video, right?
Again, similar to the killer's car.
Right. And it's the same way on all of your wheels, isn't that right?
Right.
Okay. Now, if we could cue back over to the PowerPoint presentation. Let's look at these windows. Bottom right-hand corner, sir. The front windows are not tinted, are they?
No, sir.
But the back ones are, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's cue over to your car. Your front windows are not tinted, correct?
That is correct, sir.
And your back ones are, correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. Coincidence?
I don't think so. I think the killer got a car like mine.
Okay. So you would agree your car looks exactly like the killer's car?
No, sir.
No, it doesn't?
There's a difference with that paint on the lower left-hand side that Mr. Maga testified about.
Okay. Let's talk about other similarities. We've seen footage from the video with the visor down, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I could pull up the slide, but we don't need to because you remember seeing it on the survey, on the videos, right, from the
Right.
PowerPoint?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay, publishing 317. And look at that. Your visor's down, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're suggesting that your professional hitman in the funny hat knew about your visor as well?
I'm saying that Mr. Mogg pulled my visor down.
Ah, but you didn't see that, did you, sir?
I didn't see him do it, but
Right. You didn't see it with your own 2 eyes, correct?
that is correct.
You're just telling it out of whole cloth, correct? You're speculating. Isn't that right?
I'm speculating just to the extent of who exactly did it, but sure.
Right. You don't even know who it was, correct?
It could have been another officer, yes.
Okay. So now it's not just Officer Mogg that's part of this conspiracy. There's other officers too. How many officers were part of this conspiracy?
I don't know.
Well, please tell me. How many do you think are involved?
I couldn't tell you, sir.
So you have no idea, but you think it might be Mogg and another officer, but you just can't come up with a number,
Well,
correct?
Mr. Mogg actually made some false representations about what happened. So yes,
Okay.
I mean, so
Sir,
I
isn't
don't know
it-
what his motivation would be otherwise.
Sir, isn't it possible that in your rush to drive back home, you just didn't even realize that the down visor might even be something of significance? Isn't that possible?
No, sir.
No. So you believe that it must have been the police, but you never witnessed anything like that happen?
I just
Correct?
know that I did not commit the murder, so that could not have been
Okay.
my
I
car or my
understand you're
visor.
not taking responsibility, sir, but just to get back to my question, you never saw anyone manipulate your car, correct?
I never saw anyone firsthand. No.
Thank you. But The visor is down, just like the killer.
And
Correct.
anyone could have removed it at any point in time, sir.
The answer to my question is yes. The visor is down, just like the killer's Yukon, correct?
Anyone could have moved it at any point.
So the answer to my question is yes.
At
The
what-
visor is down, just like the killer's car.
You're talking about, obviously, at this point in time.
Your visor is down in your Yukon, just like the killer's Yukon, correct?
Again, without knowing who did it, yes.
Thank you. You were here yesterday and you talked for approximately 2 hours. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
And then you came here this morning and you talked for another hour or so, correct?
Yes, sir.
There's one thing I didn't hear you mention. The DNA. I'd like to talk about that with you. You're not disputing that your DNA is underneath Mr. German's fingernails, are you?
Yes, I am.
Okay. But you've heard the testimony. It's there, correct?
I don't know if it was there or at what point it might have gotten there, sir.
Okay. I'm not asking you how it got there. Are you really denying that your DNA is underneath the fingernails?
Without knowing the truth, yes, I am.
Okay. Well, you've heard witnesses testify.
Right.
So the DNA lab's in on it too?
I don't know. I don't know at what point. I don't know what point this sample was collected.
Sir, please tell this jury, how in the world does your DNA get underneath Mr. German's fingernails?
I don't know because I did not kill Mr. German.
You have no idea how it could have gotten underneath your fingernails, correct?
Under my fingernails?
I'm sorry, under his fingernails, correct?
I don't know that it ever was, sir.
All right. Let's do it another way. You and Mr. German are not friends, are you?
No?